Yeah, so let's talk about F1 and how beautiful a job the producers did. Now, honestly, when I knew that it was going to be made by the same people who did Top Gun Maverick, I knew automatically they were cooking, and they absolutely did. Now, as someone who's never been interested or involved in the F1 world, I thought it was a really great introduction to everything that F1 stands for. The cars, the vibe, the music, the drive. No pun intended. Yes, indeed. But I feel like, honestly, the movie was just an excellent experience that really reminded me of that Top Gun cinematography with the quick action cutscenes, the long drawn out scenes to really grab your attention and make you feel these euphoric feelings that all the actors are feeling because they actually portray these stunts in real life, which is insane. Knowing that Brad Pitt was really in this car driving, as well as Damson Idris, and they had to do these rehearsed scenes, which just makes me have so much appreciation for their real acting and the drive to not just VFX everything in the movie, which I know there was definitely a lot of VFXing, but it definitely came off really real and genuine and immersive to me, which is so important in a movie. And while it's kind of funny, the dichotomy of it, that people who like F1 did not like this movie, but people like myself who have never watched an F1 race in their life really enjoyed it. And I think that's because there is such a fantastical nature to it, such as the combat plan with Plan C, and just some of the other things that happen in the plot, and it not really being the most motivating as to why he was racing, which I feel like I've heard a lot of discourse about, it didn't make sense. Why was he racing? It wasn't for the money, it was for this feeling. And then when he got the feeling, he left, like when he went to keep it. And yes, I do agree that there were certain flaws that happened, and maybe some different choices that they should have made. It was really interesting talking to my brother and sister who I saw the movie with, and they said Brad Pitt probably was supposed to die at the end. And I was like, what? But then thinking about it more, it definitely does make sense. I mean, he has all these injuries, and he would have these visions and nauseous feelings sometimes during the movie, and it seems like none of that actually really came to fruition, which was a negative part for sure, because it's like, why mention this stuff if it's just like he's scratching it off every single time. So I feel like that's definitely an interesting route that they might have followed, but decided to pull back on for whatever reason. I mean, I think that one of the shining parts of this movie was definitely Damson Idris. I mean, he is a phenomenal actor. I've never seen him in Snowfall, which I think is where he kind of got his claim to fame. And I heard this is his first big movie. I don't know how he is an absolutely brilliant actor, and I do hope that he is a Black Panther from a different universe in the MCU. Definitely not a recast for Chadwick, but I was really excited. His energy and his confidence and that British exuberance that they bring to the screen, and it's no wonder why there's so many of them replacing American actors as well, because they clearly have a deep talent that they're really good at bringing to the screen. And so it was such a great performance. In fact, people said that Brad Pitt's performance was a little bit dry, and I was quick to defend that at first, because I said, that's just how his nonchalant style of acting is. But when I saw it again, I did see this movie twice, I was like, no, they're right. He definitely fell flat in a couple of different moments. So it definitely was interesting to see his part versus Damson Idris's part, and kind of how, yes, they had different roles of the vet versus the newbie, but how they clash as well in terms of personality and acting styles. And I feel like it was unique in the sense of it made it interesting how lively Idris could be and how Brad Pitt was just like. But I feel like the moments that he chose to light up didn't come through as impactful, and not cheesy, but just like a little bit weaker than I think that the movie and the producers really wanted them to come. But I feel like overall it was such a great movie experience. The cinematography really got my heart with how they filmed every scene and the attention to detail. And as someone who's a mechanical engineer and is learning about airflow and fluid dynamics, it's really cool to see those things play out in a real world scenario. And it makes me have so much more respect for the people in those careers, knowing all the different equations and formulas that they have to memorize in order to understand, how to make the best lift and draft on the car. That way it can gain that 0.1 second, which is so important in Formula One. And it definitely did give me such a large appreciation, which is why I'm really glad that they brought on Lewis Hamilton as a director as well, to really bring that realism and make sure that this was all grounded in something that could actually take place. And to hear that before they even started filming, they sat down with Lewis for like 18 hours straight just to iron out every single detail in the movie, to say, could this happen? And the fact that they just went to those lengths to really check to make sure that it could, just proves the credibility of the film. And I feel like I've heard some clashing viewpoints again between people who watch F1 on a daily basis, like, oh, that couldn't happen, he would get banned, blah 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 blah, and the fact that they literally had one of F1's most prolific, maybe the GOAT of F1, on the movie helping to produce it. So I think it's definitely true that they did their background research and really made sure that this movie felt as realistic as possible, and I'm so thankful for it. Going forward, I think that these producers are looking to work on Top Gun 3 next, so I'm really excited to see what they do with that. I mean, we all know crazy Tom Cruise will be doing movies until he is like 100 years old, probably will keep going after that, and with all his Botox and plastic surgery, he might look like me by the time I'm that old. So honestly, I am super excited to see what they cook up for that. I'm super excited and proud of F1. I don't want a sequel. I feel like that's a great one-off movie. Just let it be. Shout out to Damson Idris. I can't wait to see what other roles he has in the future, and as well as the other members in the cast. I feel like everyone did a really solid job. I did like the Scottish woman. I think that's what's her accent. I feel like she brought an interesting flair and diversity to the cast, and I really liked, I'm forgetting his name, but the guy that owned Apex, he did a phenomenal job as well. I mean, it's clear that he just brings a artistic style to his work. I recognize immediately he was from Dune, the Lisan Al-Gaib Glazer, but he just did a phenomenal job, and I feel like all of them really did blow Brad Pitt out of the water, but it was a collectively excellent film, and I'm so glad that it's gotten the praise it deserves, and I probably will watch it a third and fourth time eventually. But thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.